Slow living for busy people is possible, and I have 6 ways to make it work for you. Let's get right into it. Okay, so let me first start off by saying that I have 100% been in your boat before as a former New Yorker who's lived most of their life in New York City, and life there was just go, go, go all the time, 24/7, sometimes literally 24/7. I know what it feels like to be super, super busy, to feel like you're on autopilot all the time, and just have that type of lifestyle, and also want to have a slower lifestyle, but feel like it's pretty much impossible. I'm here to tell you it is possible. Although I don't live in New York City anymore, I still have a busy lifestyle. You all know that, and I'm still able to practice slow living practices. So I'm gonna share 6 tips with you today in this video, and these tips are a little bit on the vague side. I did that on purpose because I think they're easier and they're more accessible in that way, and I also think they'll be really good to adapt to your unique lifestyle. All of us are busy, but we're all busy in different ways, and so if I make these tips a little bit more accessible and adaptable, you'll be able to actually implement them, if that makes sense. So while they are vague, I promise you'll be able to take them and shape them in whatever way works best for you. Before I actually get into those 6 things, I just want to quickly mention that I have a ton of resources for busy people on my blog. I just am always looking at slow living from that mindset because that's where I originally have been from a busy mindset. Everything that I write on my blog, I try to make it super easy, super accessible, and again, super adaptable. So I will link my blog down in the description box, but if you are way too busy to even go onto my blog and just browse, I know that is a larger ask than it used to be on the internet these days. I do also have a weekly newsletter, and it goes out every Monday morning, and every newsletter is essentially like a deep dive into a slow living topic. So you're gonna get resources there, you're gonna get tips there, and it's, again, easy and accessible, and it goes straight into your inbox. So if you just wanna sign up for that and just have it get sent straight to your inbox, I will link that down below as well. But let's get into these 6 tips. The first one is to shift your mindset. So I personally believe that slow living, first and foremost, starts up here. If you're able to shift your mindset to a more slow living, focused kind of mindset, you're gonna be in a really, really great spot. And once again, it's accessible because it's all happening up here. I feel like we can all tap into this tip because of that. And what do I mean by mindset? I think being open and being willing to change your perspective on things, especially things that you've always had a specific opinion on, and just being open to changing things up, adding a routine. I know it can be very easy and very safe to stay in your little bubble and just say, well, I'm busy, I can't do that. But if you're open and you're willing and you're ready to take on some slow living practices that can be very, very simple, then you're already setting yourself up for success, if that makes sense. The next thing is to create a productivity system. I talk about this so much on this channel in particular because I love to share like productivity tools and stuff like that. So if you have a browse on my channel, you'll see a bunch of other resources here, but I firmly believe that productivity and slow living go hand in hand. I've said that a million times, and I do have a blog post on that. I'm not going to say this too much because I think every single tip here is going to have a blog post associated with it, I'm pretty sure, so I'll try not to be annoying. But productivity is so important. It's so essential because it helps clear up all of that clutter that's going on in your busy lifestyle. It helps simplify your lifestyle so you can open up time and space and resources to your slow living practices. It's absolutely necessary for busy people in particular, so don't skip this step. This is probably my number 1 step for you guys. The next thing is to implement a routine or routines. Now, don't get scared of the thought of a routine. You can have a morning routine, you can have an evening routine, you can have a routine that's kind of scattered throughout your day, and I still consider it to be a routine even though it's not all clumped into one. It's absolutely possible, and you don't have to have a super dedicated morning routine that's like 5 hours long. I know that's the big joke on the internet, but you can have a routine as little as 15 minutes or less. As someone who I used to have to wake up at like 5 a.m. to get out of the door, and I would still have a routine, even though it was very tiny in comparison to the way that my routine is now. It was still a routine, and so you can do that as well. Again, blog post, but in the blog post, because I don't want to spend too much time going through the same exact things that are in the blog post, in there are, I think, 15 or more ideas, like solid ideas and examples for you to take, literally take, and fuse into a routine. I think one of my favorite examples is to simply set an affirmation. Once again, that happens up here and that takes seconds, so that can be included in your routine. Making your coffee, that's something that you already do. Skincare, that's something that you already do in your routine. Just, you know, finding bits and pieces for you to be a little bit more intentional and mindful through the act of a routine is definitely going to be a great way into slow living. The next thing is, if you're stuck, lean on seasonality. So what do I mean by stuck? I mean, if you're in a rut, you have no idea where to begin, you have no idea where to go, you've lost momentum when it comes to slow living. And I'll be honest with you, this happens to me quite often throughout the year. So I absolutely lean on seasonality. What does seasonality mean? It's essentially just leaning on all of the things associated with a season. So even if you don't have all 4 seasons, maybe you only have 2 seasons, maybe you only have 1 season, that's absolutely fine in this instance because you're leaning on the things associated with the season. So again, blog post, but I will use the example of fall. There are so many things associated with fall, but not everyone has a fall. So you can just lean on the activities and the practices that are associated with fall, such as, I don't know, going to the farmer's market. I feel like that's probably more of a summer thing, but it also happens in the fall. And things like that, maybe going for a nature walk, maybe, you know, pumpkin carving, stuff like that. So yeah, seasonality is something that's always there and the things that are associated with it are always there. So you can lean into it to get ideas if you're ever stuck. The next thing, if you're unmotivated, lean onto vision boards. I 100% do this. I love vision boards, and Pinterest has been my go-to for vision boards because it's very easy for me to access it, very easy for me to scroll through it, and very easy for me to update it. So why vision boards? I think vision boards are really, really great sources of inspiration. You can just simply be inspired simply by looking at it. And so I think they're really effective in that way, and also effective in a low maintenance way. So I highly recommend going onto Pinterest and creating a vision board and just simply doing searches on things that inspire you and adding it to that vision board, and just take a look at it every once in a while when you're feeling unmotivated. I swear, every time I look at my vision board, I go scrolling. I have tons of stuff on my vision boards, y'all. But anytime I go scrolling, I'm immediately inspired. I immediately just want to, you know, do the things that I'm seeing on my vision board. And by the way, if you want to steal my vision boards, you absolutely can. Once again, they're on Pinterest, so I'll link them down below. But yeah, it's a great way, a great easy way to get motivated again. Okay, and then the last thing is, if you're more of a hands-on person, lean on experiences and activities. This is kind of associated with the seasonality one, because, you know, activities are associated with that too. But if you're a little bit more social, if you're a little bit more extroverted, I know a lot of these points really, really embrace introvertedness because I'm introverted. But again, because they're so low maintenance, it really leans into the introverted side of people. But if you want to be more extroverted, if you want to get more social, you absolutely can. And I would say lean on those experiences and activities. Some examples, I know I mentioned this already, but the farmer's market, I love this example because it's not too intensive and it's fun, and you can make it as social or as not social as you want. So I love to go to the farmer's market and just explore. That's an activity all in itself, and it helps you slow down and really enjoy the farmer's market and the moment that you're in, and seasonality. And you can go pick up some stuff, maybe just grab some things that are in season and then curate a recipe around it, and then come home and take your time to intentionally make whatever recipe that you end up going with. This can be social because you can go to the farmer's market with your friends. You can all kind of like assign yourself a booth to grab something from, and then when you get back home, you can all kind of compile everything that you've got at the farmer's market and do a recipe together, and then host a little lunch or a dinner. I just think that that is the coolest idea. I've never actually done that in a social way, but I would love to do that with my friends. I just think that sounds so fun and intentional and mindful, and it really, really leans into slow living. So you can be as social or interactive or hands-on if you want. All right, friends, so I went through that list kind of quickly. It kind of makes sense. It proves just how simple and accessible these 6 tips are. I hope at least a couple of these things, if not all of these things, are kind of igniting some inspiration in you to get going and start your slow living journey. Whether you're super busy, which this video is intended for, or not, I'm pretty sure people who are watching this video are very busy and are seeking more practical slow living practices. So how many times have I said practice in this video? Anyway, I hope this was helpful. I know a lot of us struggle with slow living and being busy people. I just want to reiterate that if you live in a city, if you live in a hustle and bustle area, you can 100% live a slow life. You do not have to be homesteading. You do not have to live in the middle of nowhere. I do not live in New York City anymore, and I know that definitely plays a role in my slow living journey, but I don't live that far off. I live in New Jersey. I definitely don't live out in the middle of nowhere. So I absolutely resonate with you, and I'm telling you that you can definitely live a slower lifestyle. Starts up here and then just move on down the list and start implementing things here and there, bit by bit, slowly, intentionally, and mindfully, and you'll get there. I promise you. I have made such huge strides in just I think this is coming on to my 3rd year here in this house, and I think when I moved is when I started really focusing on my slow living journey. So just about 3 years, and I've made such huge strides in very little ways, but it has made like huge impact. So best of luck to you on your slow living journey. I am confident that you'll be able to get somewhere this year, and if you have any questions, leave them down in the comment section. More than happy to answer whatever questions you have. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you in next week's video.